So this is a 12.5-foot Flycraft Stealth X. I got it set up to run 2-man, but it's usually, you can also have a third seat there on the back. But I'll sit in the middle and kind of row you back row down the stream. That's kind of how we do it. You're casting from the front with the lean brace and having fun floating down the river. Yeah, I mainly do fly fishing guided trips. Do some spin fishing as well. Just kind of depends on what the client wants to do. But yeah, that's kind of allows you to have a good sight of the fish and where you're casting to and free of any obstructions in the back. So yeah, I love this boat. It's perfect for our Ozark small streams. Kind of gets in tight. You can float anywhere from 2 to 4 inches or so draft. So it's mainly the Meramec River here, and I do the Gasconade River as well, about hour to the northwest of us. So those are my main haunts that I try to hit. Mainly, if I can take beginners and kind of what the setup is. Usually a lot of questions, kind of what I just went through, if it's fly fishing or what kind of fishing we do, what type of fishing. Usually we're fishing for smallmouth bass, and some of our special management areas are kind of around parks like this. Typically days start at 8 o'clock in the morning and last till 5 or 6 in the afternoon, depending on how many stops and how the fishing is and how the day's going. We'll stop for lunch in the gravel bar, either a sandwich or a cooked meal, so that's kind of part of the trip as well. But I have all the tackle and gear included to have an enjoyable day on the water, tossing streamers or fly patterns that I tie myself for smallmouth bass. So we're using 7 weights basically. So this is a 7 weight with an intermediate line. Today it's kind of overcast, so we're using kind of a black, darker color streamer. This is call this the Max's Murdich. It's my version of the Murdich minnow. Throwing an intermediate line, kind of trying to get us to the close to the bank as you can, letting it sink a little bit, and then stripping and hoping angry smallmouth pops out from under a rock and tries to tear your arm off. So yeah, we have really, I'm going to scoot over here and put this rod up as I talk about it. So we have really kind of like small current streams. So these streams are maybe 20, 30 foot wide, if you can see. So there's not a whole lot of current, and that current stream is going to be pretty narrow. So tossing it to the bank, getting it in that shallow slack water, and then it'll hit the stream, that current stream, and then kind of be pulled around, and hopefully you're getting it an attack in that shallow slack water where the trout or the smallmouths hold now. So you can go to my website, comoflyco.com, Instagram, and Facebook as well. So all the social medias.
Oh, there's another one. There's another one below them.
Coming after it?
Yep. Nice. The bomb. Anchors.
Anchors are nice.
There you go. There's one behind them. And I'm not lying. If I'm lying, I'm dying.
There's another fish right next to it?
There's another one right underneath them. Oh, that's so cool. That is
Free fish.
Long. Just, this is the biggest fish Bill Cooper has probably ever caught in his life. So we're going to let that go. All right, Bill, probably have, you probably have work that you could do around there, from somewhere. No, but I think I finally got a smallmouth. Oh, there's a smallmouth following them, bigger. I might be able to get him and get this one in. Is he still there? Yeah, here he comes. You ready? Right there.
Not a bad one.
Nice. Look at that.
Bigger.
Sweet. And there's one bigger than him underneath that. Little pico pop, sneaking in the pico pop. Pretty awesome catch topwater smallmouth fish. Look at that.
A little bit bigger.
He's fat, chunky.
Catch his brother.
His mama. You take a picture and then I will, I'll just have you send it to me.
Yeah. Put one upside down. One more. All right.
All right. All right. Woo-hoo. Like I told it, like we have to get a bunch of content. Usually at places like this, I get a bunch and I just film Mitch fishing, you know, because that's the gig. Got one. It's a small one. Wow. Hello, little smallie. There you go. That's what you come to Missouri for. That's right, catch some smallmouth. This is so cool to catch it in a float boat. So is this a float boat?
Yeah.
Right?
Drift boat.
Okay, drift boat.
Drift raft,
So,
I guess we'll say.
drift raft. And so, look at that. We're just going to let it go. Sweet. We had 3 bites, right? In this little section?
Yeah, 3 bites so
3
far.
bites.
Right through here.
Of course, I shanked 2 of them. Didn't get those in. But I think you got to see the action of it. But if you just actually look, you see there's a sandbar on this side over here. And then you come over to this side over here. And what you're seeing is a deep cut bank that's inside there. So my guide's telling me where like to cast up inside there. But the one thing that you notice is that we're out in the environment. There's no other people around. I haven't seen pop cans. I haven't seen fishing line. I haven't seen any sign of people anywhere. And if they did float down, they probably took care of their stuff, especially if they came with Max, because he's going to make sure that they clean everything up. We had a little shore lunch up there, and so we cleaned up anything that we took with us. We cleaned up. But isn't this cool to be in something like that? You can hear the birds. I'd be quiet. You can hear the birds, and you just get to be out here. He said that you can have a second seat in this.
Yeah, there's a second seat in the back, so we can float up to 2 people besides myself.
We went through some water. I'm not lying either. We went through some water spot like that right there, and I was like, my big butt's gonna have to get out of the boat.
By.
But we did not. We didn't have to get out. We wouldn't have had to get out of the boat the whole entire time, and he would have like rowed us through and did that. But all I can say is that just when you come and you experience places like this, I mean, it's worth the price of admission, and the fish are just, you know, that's just like the add to it. It just makes it that much funner. So make sure you check him out, and he'll put you on fish, and you also have a great time, and you get to be with, you know, Mother Nature, and God has blessed us to put us in places and environments like this.
Hey, it's Max with Como Fly Co. Just wanted to take you through some of my flies that I like to use for smallmouth. So take you kind of from the smallest to the biggest. All these flies are available at comoflyco.com, all tied by me. These are some of my personal favorites. Starting with the gold sparkle minnow, coffee sparkle minnow. You can't go wrong with that. It has a nice 2-tone belly and marabou. Easy to throw, lightweight, decent amount of sink to it though, so nice and easy to use. I like to throw these in the summer. You can either, you know, float them off an indicator, or, you know, just throw them on a line and let them sink. Moving to some of my favorite patterns, this is Max's Murdich minnow in our shad color. I also like to throw it in a bleeding shad color. Kind of has a little bit of red to it, but Murdich minnows, a lot of great action, a lot of suspension there in the water, and then when you strip it, it kind of jerks from side to side. So really love the, my take on the Murdich minnow, Max's minnow. Got them in 3 or 4 different colors. And then, can't beat the double deceiver. I like to throw them in white, or maybe, like a light chartreuse, something like that. This color here, chartreuse, white, or even kind of like a brown natural color, whenever they're not going for like the bright flies. But I'm a big double deceiver person. Like throwing those in the spring and fall, or sink tip lines, or intermediate lines, because they'll get down. And then personal favorite of mine would probably be the Game Changer. I like to tie it in a couple of different styles, from your typical just straight finesse Game Changer to a feather changer here. Kind of been playing around with the leggy boy style that's been coming out of recently. So just kind of trying to imitate like a shad type color, or maybe like a crawfish type color with that reddish brown and tan. So even do custom poppers, foam heads on the double barrel system. So yeah, if you ever need any flies, custom flies tied for the Missouri Ozark smallmouth, please hit me up at comoflyco.com. All right, so Max Gilley with Como Flyco here, just kind of going through some of our seasonal fishing patterns on the Meramec River, upper Meramec here. So we're, late summer, early fall, so I'm hoping we're going to get something on a streamer here. It's kind of a dark, overcast day, so we might be throwing something like this on an intermediate sinking line. It's got a little bit of weight, but something kind of darker, charcoal black, a little bit of turquoise, kind of might try to get it showing up in the kind of darker water. But kind of how our fishing and fly pattern of choice might change. Seasonally, I kind of got it lined up here, early spring through the spawn bite, your summer lures, and then we might come back, this time of year back to the fall. Kind of starting in the spring, those fish are coming out of their winter holes. They're looking ready to eat a nice big size meal, getting ready to spawn, so they're trying to pack on as much weight that they can coming out of there after being skinny from the winter. So my personal favorite's a double deceiver here. I like to tie them in like 6 or 7 inch size, articulated double hook. Favorite color for me is either kind of a white or a shad. I like to put a little copper or gold flash in there, but like a double deceiver there. This is my take on a Murdich minnow. This is called Max's Murdich, tied by yours truly. When they're kind of going from something a little bit smaller profile, maybe that 3 or 4 inches, 4.5 inches or so, I'll throw something like that. But yeah, spring, early summer is usually a streamer bite here on the Meramec. Moving into summer, those fish are going to be a little bit more skittish, so we're going to downsize our patterns. This is a Coffee's Sparkle minnow that I like to use a lot. Or even go into like a topwater popper, something like that, or maybe a little bit larger to get a little bit more of a wake going. But yeah, so summer, all the way through like, this time of year we can get something on top, or like kind of smaller streamers. And then fall, winter, we're kind of going back to like a larger streamer, back to the whites, depending on the time of day. Here in the Ozarks, it can be raining a couple of days and then be bright and sunny the next day, so you kind of got to be versatile. Late summer, fall, kind of looking for those window bites, so maybe looking for a 1 or 2 hour window in the afternoon where they might be turning on. So kind of, one of those times of years where you got to be open and willing to do anything to try to get a bite. So yeah, I was kind of just running through some of the seasonal bites for smallmouth on the fly rod here on the Meramec River. So Max Gilley with Como Flyco. Thank you.
Tell us about it.
So we're right by one of the huge obstructions that came in the river about last early November. We had a big flood and it washed huge trees, kind of like what we're showing you right here. It's really changed the river, that water. Added huge, debris piles like you see there, and then in some sections it's kind of flattened it out and made the river wider. So it's definitely a different upper Meramec than it used to be last year.
How would you go about fishing it since it's different?
Really finding the runs kind of that are before and after obstructions like that. We're not really in one here because it's pretty shallow, but If you can find one of those obstructions that has some deep water that's moving, it can be really good trout and smallmouth habitat. So it's definitely something to target if it was in kind of, a little bit deeper of area. It's pretty shallow right through there, so we didn't really stop and target it too much, but can add good habitat and change the river in some ways good, some ways bad. So it's always fun coming out after one of those big floods and seeing what the river looks like. So there you could, run like a stick bait or a jerk bait through there on the spinning side. Even like a hair jig, something like a marabou jig, something like that, kind of just get it on the bottom and jig it up and down through there. On the fly side, I like to throw, any kind of a like medium weight streamer through there and kind of pause it right by the structure and then jerk it. See if you can get that reaction bite out of the smallmouth. So, anyways, you can get a kind of a moving minnow type pattern through there. Usually can be good.
So what do we do to land them?
Try to pull them over here into the snow area.
Okay.
Don't get in there. Try to park right by that tree.
Okay.
I haven't seen it a decent size.
Yeah, I've seen them. It's not bad.
And you have to pull them close to the boat and all that.
I was going to tell you it was a smallie, but it was.
He was pulling hard. I thought it was a decent sized trout. Snoring. There we go.
There we go. Fish number one. We're going to start with a smallmouth. That's a good way.
Yeah.
There's my guy. There we go. That's how we're going to start all day. It's pretty cool.
Start.
Look at that water. It's crazy clear. That, my friends, is a perfect day out fishing. And I have to tell you, how comfortable is this? How comfortable it is to stand up and fish. Someone else is, of course, doing all the work, but I'm telling you, this is the way to go. I highly recommend you go out and go fishing with them because, dude, you're not going to have a better day and a better time. So once again, tell them if they want to get in touch with you.
Yeah, Max Gilley, Como Fly Co. Guided smallmouth fly fishing trip, custom tied flies. So if I can ever take you on a trip or sell you any flies, just head on to comoflyco.com.